Hey everybody, on today's episode of Journey of the Sound, we're going to be talking about the Ferocious debut album from grunge band Alice in Chains, titled Facelift. Stay tuned. Hey fellow music fans, welcome to Journey of the Sound, a music podcast for music people. I'm your host, Jared Rocco. I'm a musician, composer, and most importantly, a music fan. Welcome to the show. As I said in the intro, today we're talking about the awesome debut album from Alice in Chains, Facelift. I've been an Alice in Chains fan for a few years now. I got into them via Best of the Box, Best of album. And then from there, I started buying their studio albums. This is actually my most recent purchase out of all the albums in their discography. And the only song I knew off of this before buying it was Man in the Box. Didn't know any other tracks on here. So I was excited to listen, and I'm excited to tell you guys about it. All right, so Facelift was released on August 21st, 1990. It was recorded at the London Bridge Studios in Seattle, Washington. No surprise there. And like I said, it was the debut album from the grunge band Alice in Chains. Quick list of the people playing on this album. We have Layne Staley on vocals, Jerry Cantrell on guitar and backing vocals, Mike Starr on bass, and Sean Kinney on drums and percussion. Didn't have too many expectations going into this album other than I knew Man in the Box, so let's dive in. So the album starts off with the song We Die Young. I think this is a great opening track. It hits you right in the face right away with the really, really heavy double-tracked guitars from Jerry Cantrell. Layne Staley does this awesome growl in the beginning while the drums are kind of kicking in. Everything's kind of just starting up before the groove sets in. That's kind of creepy, but also kind of exciting because you're not really sure what's going to happen yet. But what a great way to open the album. Heavy, really down-tuned. I think it's drop C-sharp tuned guitars. Really thumping, heavy drums and bass, and just this growl comes out of nowhere. Certainly a great introduction for the first track on your first album. You know, either you're going to love it or you're going to run away screaming. Gets rid of the haters pretty quick, hopefully. Overall, I love this track. This is a really great song. Great way to start off the album, like I said. Overall, the whole song is actually pretty simple. It only clocks in at around 2 minutes and 32 seconds, so I think it might be one of the shortest, if not the shortest song on the album. But I don't think that's ever a bad thing when you're starting off a record. You really don't want to bore your listener too much in the beginning. Just, hit them with a quick 2.5 minute song and you're in. If they dig it, they'll probably keep listening. If they don't, they'll probably turn it off. But that saves everybody time, right? I really like the delay that they use on Layne Staley's vocals, especially when he says hit really hard. He hits that a few times. No pun intended. You can kind of hear the echo, the delay of that. It's not too much in your face, but it's just enough to notice it, and it's a nice touch, especially since there's a little bit of a pause after he says that line, so it's not overrun with a new line coming in. You got some space to enjoy that delay, if you so choose. Overall, the song is pretty simplistic. It's just on one chord for the most part, except during the chorus. I guess you would call it a chorus, the part where they say "We Die Young" right before the guitar solo. It's just a bunch of really nasty, dirty, low-tuned riffs from Jerry Cantrell, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. It's wonderful. There's some great, short, fiery guitar solos from Mr. Cantrell on here. Nothing too long. None of them overstay their welcome, but just enough to be like, yeah, I can shred, I can play some cool stuff. As far as lyrical inspiration goes, I know this song was written, music and lyrics by Jerry Cantrell, and from what I understand, he was inspired sort of by seeing kids, middle schoolers and high schoolers, I believe, on the streets of Seattle dealing drugs. They had beepers, which I guess back in the day he thought that was pretty high tech. And obviously, the title speaks for itself. Kids doing drugs, dying too young. That's kind of how the chorus goes. We have, and we die young, faster we run. What's cool about that line is that at the end, the final chorus, they switch that around, this time saying faster we run and we die young instead of the other way around, which is kind of cool. It's a nice little way to bookend the song. Also, I like how the song is really short and it kind of reflects the subject matter. Kids dying young, the song's really over before you really know what to do with yourself. It's so quick. It's just tons of guitars, loud vocals, everything's just in your face for 2.5 minutes, and then it's over. Living fast, dying fast, I guess. All right, after We Die Young, there's probably the most famous of Alice in Chains songs, at least for me. This is the one I knew first before I knew anything about the band. Man in the Box. Super catchy vocals, super catchy guitar riff on this. The talk box effect on the guitar is always a nice touch. I don't know if that was a play on the title, Talk Box, Man in the Box, or that was just a happy coincidence, but hey, it works either way. Really great, soft, loud, dynamic contrast in this song, much in the way of Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana that would come around a few years later. The vocals on the verse are pretty low in Lane Staley's register. You know, he keeps it pretty chill. There's kind of that nice groove going on. It's a pretty slow, heavy song. There's not a lot of crazy, fiery, fast, and fire and brimstone kind of stuff like in We Die Young. So it's a nice contrast coming from that 2.5 minutes of whoa to whoa, okay, we're settling into a groove here. This song's a little bit longer overall, too, so you have a little bit more time to digest what you just heard. So after we have the soft, kind of brooding, kind of slow-moving verse, as everyone probably knows, it kicks into overdrive during the chorus. Lane Staley shows off his vocal chops, and it's just an awesome moment. You can't help but sing along if you love this song. Again, great contrast between the verse, makes the chorus feel that much more powerful, and then after the chorus, they come back down and bring it down to softer dynamics. There's some bluesy guitar stuff going on in here that you'll notice that throughout the whole album, actually, I noticed. Jerry Cantrell, definitely a blues guy, even though this is definitely more grunge and bordering on the metal genre even. There's some blues riffs in here for sure. If you know where to listen for them, they're there. But I don't mind him. I like him. It's a nice touch. Great guitar solo in the middle there. Jerry Cantrell doing what he does best. Not quite as flashy as the We Die Young solo, but I don't mind that. It's a little bit more melodic. There's some bends. It's a little bit slower, but I'm okay with that. What's weird, though, is that halfway through the solo, there's like a second solo that comes in over the top of it, and it kind of just comes out of nowhere. It just kind of surprises you, and I'm not really sure if I like that much. I guess I just get used to it because I've heard it so many times, but you can hear the first guitar solo is still going on in the background a little bit, and this new one just came in. I don't know why they felt they needed two over the top. I guess just to try to build it, but when you first hear it's a little startling. It's like, whoa, okay, what's going on here? What's also great is the final chorus is a little bit higher. Lane Staley stays on that high note just a little bit longer. You can kind of feel like his vocal cords are getting ripped out, but a little painful to listen to, but also awesome at the same time. One complaint I have about this song is with the background vocals that Jerry Cantrell does during the chorus. The way they're mixed and the way they're panned really hard in the headphones left and right, they seem a little dry. I feel like there's not enough reverb on them. I'm not sure if they were trying to do that to contrast Lane Staley's vocals, which are in the middle of the mix. It's a little weird. It's kind of like right in your ears on the sides, and it's panned really hard to the left and right, like I said. Again, something I just get used to after a while, but it is a little strange, and I would have liked maybe less hard of a panning or a little bit more reverb treatment or something. They're just a little bit dry and just kind of surprising. It's almost too big of a contrast to Lane Staley's vocals, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, it's still a classic track. I still love it. The lyrics are really simple, kind of ambiguous. I know it's supposed to be about media censorship. You know, when you look at the lyrics here, what they have in the booklet here, you realize there's not that many lyrics to this song. But that's okay. You know, simplicity is a good thing, too, for sure. All right, after Man in the Box, we have Sea of Sorrow. This song starts out pretty slow with this kind of, again, bluesy intro. There's even some, like, almost distorted keyboards in there, which is really cool. There's not too many keyboards, if any, on this album. I think that's the one time they might come in. It sounds kind of a little bit too percussive to be a guitar part. What's cool, too, is when the verse and pre-chorus kick in, they're in a different key than the intro is in. So you get used to this kind of, again, bluesy intro, and then the verse and pre-chorus come in, and then it's like, well, okay, we're in a new key, but that's kind of cool. It keeps it fresh. That happens a few times on this album, random key changes. Really catchy pre-chorus. I almost like the pre-chorus more than the chorus. The We Open Fire line, that's great, really catchy. I haven't mentioned it already. A lot of nice harmonies on this album. Something that Alice in Chains would go on to be known for sure. But on the pre-chorus on this song, they really start to shine. Some nice drum fills in here by Sean Kinney into the chorus. that kind of have this build up and then everything drops out and there's these cool drum fills that happen a few times. Another great guitar solo over the chorus after the second chorus. There's some funky rhythms going on too, which is kind of cool. There's actually a few moments on this album, in addition to the blues stuff, there's some funky stuff going on too. Some almost funk metal, which I know is kind of a short-lived subgenre. I don't know. I wouldn't go that far into saying this is a funk metal album, but it's it's got some little hints of funk in there, which again is nice. It's a nice variety. Changes it up a little bit. So the one complaint I have about this song is that at the end we have the chorus, which says the line "Sea of Sorrow." Pretty good chorus, nothing to write home about, but catchy enough. They play it like 5 or 6 times, and the fade out is so slow. It takes forever to fade this chorus out, and I feel like I'd like to hear that chorus maybe 2 times at full volume and then fade it down. I know that's probably nitpicking at this point, but listening to it, and I was like, okay, this is great. Okay, second time, yep. Okay, third time, it's fading slowly. Fourth time, I think you can get in at least 4 or 5 choruses if you turn it up all the way. So, I don't know. I think a little bit faster of a fade would have been nice. Lyrically, the song seems like it's about someone who's depressed or kind of bumming out, living in a sea of sorrow, as they say in the chorus. Maybe it's about a past relationship that failed. You had to leave the person. The narrator seems like they're ready to move on. They live tomorrow for tomorrow, I believe are the lyrics. They're able to move on, but the person who they're talking about is not able to move on. I don't know if that's move on from a past relationship together or just move on from some kind of sorrow, but they're obviously wallowing in their sea of sorrow there. All right, after Sea of Sorrow, we have Bleed the Freak. This one kind of starts out a little bit slower. It's a little deceptive. The beginning guitar riff actually reminds me of Heart-Shaped Box by Nirvana. Definitely a similar vibe. It's nice to have the acoustic guitars in there for a contrast because the past 3 songs have been electric guitar heavy for sure. We do get some electric guitars coming in pretty quickly, but at least for the intro, it's nice to have something different. Unusual song form for this. The intro is kind of like a verse, and then you hear the chorus a lot, and there's kind of this like bridge part where the guitars are doing some like palm muting stuff. It's kind of like a bridge, kind of like a verse. But I'm okay with that too. It's nice to have some changing it up from just verse, chorus, even though there are a lot of choruses in this song. Anyways, we got some nice dynamic contrast again when we have that acoustic guitar part that's kind of like Heart-Shaped Box. It's a lot softer, and then when they kick into the chorus, when they say the line "Bleed the Freak," kind of picks back up. Really catchy chorus though. I really dig this chorus. I find myself singing along to this a lot. There's also a spoken word section in the middle of this song. Can't really hear what they're saying. It's, again, kind of creepy, kind of similar to the beginning where Lane Staley has that growl, kind of keeping that creepy atmosphere. Like you don't really know what's going on, but it keeps you guessing, keeps you hooked. At least it keeps me hooked. And yeah, just a great track overall. Okay, so after Bleed the Freak, we have I Can't Remember. This song is okay to me. It's funny, I can't really remember how it sounds unless I go back and listen to it, which is a little ironic, but it is what it is. I love the first 4 tracks in here. We Die Young, Man in the Box, Sea of Sorrow, Bleed the Freak. 4 great tracks in a row. They all have their own unique things to offer, and I'm hooked for all 4 of them. Then we get to I Can't Remember. It's still pretty good. It's a little bit different. It's got some slow spots in it, but it's not one of the standout tracks on here for sure. Also, when the song ends, it's a pretty abrupt ending. It kind of just stops out of nowhere. Sometimes I like that, a nice clean-cut, precise ending, but in this case, it's just kind of like, whoa, okay, what? So, again, not one of my favorite tracks. It fits well within the album. The overall sound is fine. It definitely feels like, yeah, this is an Alice in Chains song, but it's not one of the standout tracks for me. Again, it fits well as an album track, definitely not a single, but what can you do? Can't make everything a hit single. So after I Can't Remember is done, abruptly, we go into the song Love, Hate, Love. This song is pretty cool, very different than a lot of the other tracks on here. This clocks in at, I think, over 6 minutes. This is one of the longest songs on the album. Very slow, brooding tempo to start it off, kind of slowly lurching forward, not too fast, very heavy. Again, kind of like with Man in the Box, feeling slow compared to We Die Young. This one definitely takes it down a notch, and the slower it is, the heavier it is for sure. There's some cool effects on Jerry Cantrell's guitar, a little bit of a different sound than the previous songs. It sounds like a chorus pedal or a chorus effect or something like that. Again, just something nice to change it up after having songs with, for more or less the same kind of sound, although we had the talk box solo in Man in the Box, so that was cool. What's really cool here is there are some guitar and bass hits that go against the really slow drum groove that's kind of going through this. The drums and vocals are kind of together in one spot, and then the drums and the bass kind of have these synchronized hits that they do together, which is a nice contrast. They're short and they're sharp, whereas the drums are kind of meandering, and then they're just kind of laying down a very solid, slow groove, and Lane Staley's voice is also kind of wandering through the melody here. Very slow start. Just starts with Jerry Cantrell's guitar and the cymbals. And then things pick up in the second half of the song. Takes a while to get there, but once we do finally get there, Lane Staley does what's called a melisma, which is he sings a bunch of notes over one syllable. I don't know if he's singing any words per se. It's just kind of like he's screaming a little bit, but it's a melodic scream. This is in the section where he finally says the title, Love, Hate, Love. And it just feels really powerful. I really dig this part of the song. Again, it takes a while to get into it, but once it finally hits, it's like, whoa. I remember when I put this on for the second or third time, I knew this part was coming, but I didn't remember where. And the anticipation, the build-up was really nice. So when it finally did hit, it was that much more satisfying. So maybe there is something to be said for them waiting a little bit longer to get to that part. Also, interesting side note, this is the end of side 1 on the cassette and vinyl release of this album, and I think that's pretty fitting. It's a big, long song. It's almost an epic, you might say. After this, you kind of want a sigh of relief. You kind of want to, stand up and go get a glass of water or something, because it's a lot to take in. It's an emotionally heavy song for sure. Speaking of lyrics, clearly this is about some kind of relationship. Sounds like it's about conflicting emotions within a relationship. Love, hate, love, kind of going back and forth. And there's some lyrics about I tried to love you. Whoever the narrator is definitely conflicted about whatever relationship they're in. Do they want to leave them? Do they want to stay? Similar to Sea of Sorrow, I guess, in that way. All right, so to start off side 2, if you're a cassette or vinyl listener, we have the song It Ain't Like That. Great bluesy guitar riff in the beginning here. I love the way it's got kind of this just Jerry Cantrell just kind of strums the guitar, and then it's got this nice bend that comes in, and then the drums come in and kicks it off with the bass too. And then he goes into this kind of palm-muted riff that almost sounds like something off of the Peter Gunn theme, if anyone knows that one. It's like bump, 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 bump. Very similar to that, which is kind of cool. Not sure if that was supposed to be a blatant reference to that or just a happy accident, but I appreciated it. As far as lyrics go on the song, I'm not really sure exactly what the song's about. To me, it kind of sounds like they might be talking about getting a major label record deal. This is their debut album. I think they put out an EP with We Die Young on it before this, kind of as to test the waters, test the market to see if people would like it. And once they did, they said, okay, get you the record deal. We'll record this debut album. There's a little bit of that in here, especially the line, sign the deal, set in motion, smaller fish, so huge the ocean. Thinking about, like, did they feel like the smaller fish? And then once they jumped into the major label market, it's like, whoa, okay, here's this ocean of other artists and bands and acts out there that we have to compete with. Signing the deal, setting things in motion. All right, here's, the jump starting our career. I'm not really sure, but I do like the song. It's a great start to side 2. After that, we have the song Sunshine, another one of my favorites on this album for sure. There's some more bluesy guitar riffs in here for sure. Again, Jerry Cantrell really showing he likes the blues, even if he doesn't want to admit it. When the song gets to the chorus, it kind of goes to halftime when they sing Sunshine. I love this. This is my favorite part of the song. The chords that happen here, the harmonies that happen here, everything just works for me. It's a pretty standard 4/4, blues rock kind of thing in the verse, and then the chorus comes in. It's in a different key. Again, we talked about that before. It just slows down, and the harmonies, and just gorgeous, gorgeous. Probably my favorite harmonies on the album overall. There's a lot of great harmony parts on this album, but the chorus of Sunshine might be the best one. And from what I've looked up about this song, the lyrics are inspired by or directly about Jerry Cantrell's mother passing. So rest in peace, Mama Cantrell. After that, we have the song Put You Down. A little bit more of a funky guitar influence in this. Again, we had a little bit of a taste of that before in Sea of Sorrow with the guitar solo, but now we've got even more with just the rhythm guitar part, which is cool. It's just a fun song to rock out to. When Lane Staley has the put you down, 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 put you down, down, I can't help but sing along. It's catchy as hell. The lyrics seem like they're about someone who you know isn't good for you, but you can't stop seeing them anyways. That seems to be kind of a theme in here. Lyrically throughout this album, I want to be with you, but no, you're bad for me, but I want to be with you, and I should leave you. I don't know if this whole album was necessarily written about one person or multiple people, but I'm noticing a theme there, which is kind of cool. It kind of makes it cohesive. Everything kind of links together. Talking about someone who you can't put down. You want to put them away, get them out of your life, but you can't help it. You're addicted. After Put You Down, we have the song Confusion. Again, not one of my favorite songs on here. The verse is kind of slow, and the meandering melody that Lane Staley sings is a little boring, not one of his catchiest melodies, although I'm not sure exactly who wrote this. Let's check. All right, Lane Staley wrote the vocals on this one. Music by Cantrell and Mike Starr. Once the chorus kicks into this song, though, everything seems to work out better. I like the chorus a lot better than the verse on this song. I feel like if you cut out the slower sections of this song and had the song length a little bit shorter because of that, you'd have a better song. You know, again, kind of like I Can't Remember. It fits into the album well. The overall sound is very cohesive with everything else that comes on this record, but again, not an essential track for me. All right, then after that, we have I Know Something About You. There's some straight up funk guitar bass riffs on this. Again, a little bit of funk throughout this album. This is probably the funkiest track, though. But again, I don't mind it. I like it. It changes it up instead of just being like a straight grunge or straight metal album. Having some funk in there is kind of cool. It changes it up. It keeps it fresh. It keeps it interesting. There's a short, quick ending with this one, which is kind of cool. During the chorus, where you have the line, I know something about you, there's kind of two vocals going on. It sounds like Jerry Cantrell singing one and Lane Staley singing the other one. I like that. It's a nice layering effect. You got two things going on, so your ear is kind of trying to listen to both of them at the same time, plus the guitar, bass, and drums going on. So when the chorus kicks in, this song is definitely nice to listen to. In this case, the nice, short, quick ending, I don't mind it as much. I think it was on I Can't Remember. It's kind of had an abrupt ending that was like, whoa. But this one, it was more clean and sharp and to the point. And it kind of fit with the funk vibe of this, which I like. One of my favorite lines of this song, too, standout line, is I'd like to have more of you in my veins, which is just a cool line. I'm not sure what it means. Again, maybe about a relationship, but just a cool line for sure. All right, and the last track on this album is Real Thing. We have another little bit of a style change here where it's almost like a swing shuffle groove. We go from I Know Something About You with the funk guitar, and now we've got this boom, ba ba doom, doom, boom, ba. You know, I wouldn't say it's jazzy, but it's got this kind of shuffle groove. Great guitar riff, definitely a catchy guitar riff for sure. A lot of great riffs in this album overall. The lyrics, definitely one of the darker songs on this album overall. There's a lot of stuff about drug addiction. There's some stuff about cocaine use, it seems like, talking about razor blades. You know, obviously very sad considering that Lane Staley passed away years later at a very young age, unfortunately. So, yeah, so kind of sad, but a great song to end. I can definitely see why they put this at the end of the album. It's not one of the more, not commercial's not the right word, but it's not one of the more mainstream kind of tracks. It's not one of the more accessible tracks for sure. I like it because it's got that swing feel, but definitely lyrically it makes sense why they put this at the end of the album. And then at the end you hear someone say sexual chocolate baby, which is, you know, take that for what it's worth, I guess. You know, it is whatever you think it means. I'm not going to look into it too much. And then there's a cough and there's a snare drum, and that's how the album ends, which is kind of goofy. So I think Alice in Chains is trying to show their sense of humor a little bit on this, which I appreciate. You know, a lot of grunge and this kind of music can be pretty serious, pretty heavy, so it's kind of nice to end the album off with something that's kind of goofy and kind of random, kind of strange. All right, so that does it. That's the whole album. Overall, I really like this album. It's a great debut album from Alice in Chains. Like I said before, this was not the first album I heard by them. I started out with, I think it was Best of the Box, Best of, and then moved on to Dirt and the self-titled, which I will definitely get into in future episodes. Some favorite tracks real quick. We Die Young, great opening track, like I said before. Just great guitar riffs, great vocals, comes in, does what it needs to do, and then gets out. It's nice. Man in the Box, it's a classic. You know, you've probably heard it one too many times. It's overplayed by bar bands and cover bands, but great guitar sounds, great everything. It just works. Definitely obvious first single. And then Sea of Sorrow. I really like Sea of Sorrow. That track took a while to grow on me. I love the guitar riff in the beginning with the piano kind of doubled. That's kind of nice. I like how the song changes keys a little bit. The guitar riffs are good. There's some nice tasty drum fills in there. The guitar solo is great. The only thing is that the fade out is a little bit too long, but otherwise, great track overall. And then Sunshine, definitely one of my favorite tracks on side 2. Love that chorus. I love the harmonies. I love how it slows down like that. And yeah, that is it for me today. Alice in Chains, Facelift. If you have a chance to check it out, definitely check it out. You got some cool shots of the band here on the liner notes here. If you decide to buy the physical copy, which you should. We got some lyrics. Definitely handy. And then we got a little picture. I think this is from the We Die Young video where they're like playing by a pool. And there's some like this weird mucky kind of slimy stuff that they're kind of trying to break out of in the pool. It's a cool video. Check it out. Hasn't aged that well. There's some effects that are definitely like, ooh, late 80s, early 90s. But it's just cool to see them looking like they're having a good time and just looking badass overall, at least in my opinion. Anywho, thank you guys so much for listening. My name's Jared Rocco, and this has been Journey of the Sound. If you like this kind of video and you like Alice in Chains, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And hit that subscribe button if you so choose. There will be more videos coming out like this very soon. The next one we're going to take a look at is Alice in Chains' second album and what most people to consider their best album, Dirt. So be on the lookout for that. Anywho, that's it for me today. My name's Jared Rocco, and this has been Journey of the Sound. Thank you for listening.